and welcome to the Lovebird Lane podcast. I am Julianne and I can be found as Lovebird Lane on Instagram and Ravelry. I'm so glad that you could spend some time with me today to talk about what I've been working on in the last week. Hi everybody! I just quickly want to apologise for last week. Let me tell you, nobody was as annoyed by those reflections on my glasses as I was when I was editing. So I do apologise for that. I did forget to take them off. You think as I'd be able to see better with my glasses on that I would have actually noticed on the viewfinder, but you know, it is what it is. I'm sorry if that annoyed anybody else because it definitely annoyed me. So yeah, so I do apologise for that. Today is probably going to be very quick. I've been incredibly busy this week. I am very tired, so I'm probably going to get through this pretty quickly. There's not really a lot to tell, other than I've just got a couple of works in progress and just a quick mention about the shop update, which will be occurring tomorrow. Alright, and the other elephant in the room, which I will address quickly, is I coloured my hair last night. I did buy a box colour from Coles when I went shopping for the groceries yesterday, and it was called Dark Amethyst. The box showed very clearly a woman with purple hair. I don't know how it's showing up because obviously I'm not wearing my glasses and I've only got the viewfinder, but it's almost black. Yeah, just to address the elephant in the room, I do know that my hair is very dark. It was supposed to be purple, but it is almost a purple black. Anyway, I guess it matches one of my works in progress, which I will show you shortly. So not having anything else really to blather about at the top of the episode, I will get on with what I have been making. So the first thing is my Pebble Cardi. I do not have a finished item because I have let my fear overtake me. Something that doesn't usually happen a lot with my crafting. Usually I'm fairly fearless and I just do things, and if it doesn't work, that's fine. But all of my pieces have been finished. I believe I was on my second sleeve when I spoke to you last. I have 2 sleeves now. I have all my pieces just here. So here's all the pieces from my Pebble Cardi. And I don't want to say stupidly because that's unfair to myself. Strangely enough, even though I have done Googles, I have watched YouTube videos, I have researched the best ways to seam together pieces of crochet fabric, I am petrified of seaming this. So like I said, it's completely ironic because usually I'm completely fearless when it comes to my making, but this has just really put me in a point of paralysis and procrastination, and that's yeah, usually not something that I suffer with my crafting. What to do about this, I think, is probably just to bite the bullet and just do it, because if I just remain doing nothing, it will probably never get done. I posted about this on Instagram a couple of days ago and I had a lot of people give me a lot of encouragement, so that was very nice. But yeah, I have just completely been paralysed by it. So, I mean, all my pieces are here. I showed you a close-up last week. So I've got my 2 front panels, I have my 2 sleeves here, and I've got my back piece. And the thing is like, I really like this project. It's such a pretty project, and I'm sure I'm going to love the cardigan that I get at the end. But yeah, I don't want to mess it up. I think that's what it is. I'm just so afraid because it's my first time doing seaming of crochet that is not just like a line of single crochets to do like a decorative join. And I don't particularly want to do single crochets on this because it will come out with a chunky seam. I've seen that mattress stitch is said to be the best way to seam crochet. I adore mattress stitch when I'm seaming knitwear because I'm one of those strange people that actually really likes seaming knitwear. But yeah, for crochet, looking at it, because they're saying, you know, like to put your needle under the bar of the stitch and all of this kind of thing. And I'm like, what is the bar of the stitch? I don't even know. So yeah, that's kind of what is culminating in me not having this finished, because I'm well and truly behind now on the CAL. I was so far ahead, but now I believe this week was supposed to be seaming and finishing, and it's Wednesday, so I'm halfway through the week and I haven't even started seaming. I'm sure once I sit down and I start doing it, it'll be seamed really quickly and I'll be all ready to go, but it's just pushing myself to that point to actually do it. I have it in my bullet journal that it is one of the things that I want to accomplish, and it was on yesterday's list. It got forwarded to today's list. So I think after I complete this podcast, I go and do the editing, I grab some food. I'm actually quite hungry. I haven't had lunch yet. Then we'll sit down this afternoon, I think. I kind of feel like I need a stiff drink to do it. But, you know, I don't usually drink during the day. I'm usually very much a sun over the yardarm kind of girl. So maybe just a nice strong coffee, and I'll see if I can get it done. So, yes, hopefully I will have this done. And I hope that I don't have lipstick on my teeth. I just rubbed my lips on my teeth. Yeah, so if I get this done, the Instagram will be the first place that you will see it. So definitely head over there and give me a follow if you haven't already, and you'll be the first to see when this is done. So the next thing that I have been working on is some knitting, and if you follow me on Instagram, as I always say, you'll have already seen a sneak peek of this. And crazily enough, this has also been causing me problems. Not problems as such, just indecision. And I don't know, I mean, I think like last week, how I couldn't breathe, I think my anxiety is really kicking my butt a little bit. I like not to acknowledge my anxiety too much because I feel that gives it more power. So I generally just say, you are not required, and I just move on with my life. But I think it's just sitting there in the background driving me a little bit nuts, and I think that is why I'm possibly so afraid to seam my cardigan, and also why this project had 2 false starts, because I dyed this yarn for myself. It was one of the colorways I created for my fade kits that I did for my 2 yarn shop spotlights that I had earlier in the year, and from the minute I created the color, I knew that I wanted to have some for myself. So I obviously got my new Highland fingering base, which I've been talking about a lot, and I grabbed some of that, and because it's got a really good yardage on it, I think it's around about 460-ish yards per skein, so I grabbed out 4 of those and I dyed them up in this colourway called Purple Dawn. And I've just realised I don't have a skein here to show you. I will grab one and be back shortly. And I will do you one better. I brought 2. So this is Purple Dawn, and this is it on my Highland fingering base. So I will hold that up and let you have a look. Yeah, from the minute I created this colourway, I knew I had to have something out of it. And that is what I cast on the weekend because of my procrastination of not wanting to work on I was actually going to seam my Pebble Cardi over the weekend, and I just didn't. And I procrastinated with trying to find a project for these 4 skeins of Purple Dawn that I had. And preferably I wanted a free pattern, so I went through and, you know, did my search on Ravelry for the yardage that I had, the type of, you know, garment that I wanted, which was a sweater or a long line cardigan, and, you know, free pattern, whatever. So I'm searching through, and there was a bunch of different options that I really quite liked, but I couldn't settle on any of them. And so I went through, and because this is a fingering weight, but because of that really generous yardage, I thought it could be slightly on the light fingering sort of side. I found a sweater by Vera Valimaki. I can't remember what that one was called. However, somehow I got onto another one of her patterns called Snug, which is actually created for a sport weight. And this is kind of a puffy, I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit puffy. So I thought perhaps this could be on the sport side. But when I started knitting, I chose the Snug pattern, so I bought the pattern. And Australia's exchange rate is rubbish, so, you know, I'm paying a lot for these patterns. I bought the pattern, I cast on, but the gauge was just awful because this knits, it looks puffy, but once you're knitting it, it actually thins out quite a bit. So with the sport weight gauge and a fingering weight yarn, it just wasn't working. And I got to the point where it was a couple of things. I got to the point where I didn't like the fabric, so I was potentially going to drop a needle size, use an app that I've got, I think it's called Knit Trick, and work out the difference in gauge between what is recommended and the size that I want versus the gauge that I'm going to use, and then just, you know, obviously knit a larger size with the smaller gauge to get something that will fit me. And then the thought of doing calculations and fiddling around just was, no, I'm just not doing it. And then because obviously this is hand-dyed yarn, the skeins often, even though if they came out of the same pot, can still look very different. So I always do like to alternate my skeins using the helical knitting method, which I still haven't done a video of. Maybe this sweater will be it. Yeah, so I always use the helical knitting, which was wreaking havoc with that pattern because it was raglan increases, it was short rows across the back, which are things that I'm fine with. Those things are fine, but it's a little bit hard to alternate skeins through that because especially with the helical knitting method, you know, the point where you change skeins moves around the project. So eventually you kind of end up with one round less because you're slipping stitches as you go. It's very hard. If you don't know what it's about, it's probably very hard for you to understand because it took ages for me to get my head around it. So I just assume that anybody who's not familiar with it probably is just like, so yeah, that wasn't going well. I couldn't be bothered doing calculations, so I frogged it. I then moved on to, I thought, well, maybe a circular yoke. I quite like circular yoked sweaters. And I stumbled across not a tutorial, it wasn't really a tutorial, it was a worksheet that Tin Can Knits had on their website for creating your own Strange Brew colourwork yokes. And although I didn't want a colourwork yoke, that made me then stumble across the Strange Brew pattern, which is a pattern for a circular yoked sweater that you can then input your own colourwork into. So I cast one on. I bought the pattern and cast one on. And I was working away and I was just using the smaller gauge, you know, using the yarn as sock. They call it sock, but fingering weight in the pattern. Working around, I was up to my second set of yoke increases and I just went, I'm not feeling this. I'm not loving this. So that got frogged. And in the end, I went back to one of the free patterns that I really liked to begin with. So all of that to say that I've spent over $20 on patterns just to go back to a free pattern. But, you know, what you gonna do? Anyway, all of that to say that I've cast on a sweater called the Autumn Breeze sweater. It is a pattern by Andrea Yetman, and it is a bottom-up, drop-shoulder sweater with a lace panel down the front. So this is where I'm at. It's very, very hard to see. My cable isn't huge, but it is helping with moving all of those stitches around because, you know, they're so bunched up, they just tend to push each other around. So basically what I did is because this has short rows in it as well, across the back, to give you a slightly longer section at the back, whereas even the front. So I've got 2 balls of yarn off this, obviously, because I am alternating skeins. And of course it is tangled and I'm trying to record, which is just so convenient. This is my lace panel here at the front. You can't really see too much just yet. It's only a couple of repeats in. So that's the front. That's kind of the length that we've got. And then here is the back. So you can see it's, you know, a lot longer. You can see the colorway there. Obviously I'm alternating skeins to try and get it a bit more even, but because of those short rows in the back, I added ribbing because the yarn called for in the pattern is a very high percentage of milk fibre with a little bit of wool. So I knew that that would have more drape than my 100% wool, and also 100% wool will curl. I mean, you'll see that I've put ribbing in, but that bottom piece is still curling, but once it's blocked, that should hold flat. So as I'm using full 100% wool, I thought that's gonna curl on the bottom. So I wanted to add just a short, narrow rib section, just to hopefully have that a little bit flatter. So I did some ribbing, and then I did my short rows at the back to get my slightly longer section at the back, all with one skein. And then as soon as I was back in the round you know, instead of going backwards and forwards for short rows, once I was back in the round, I added in my second ball right before the lace panel. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do when I get back to the lace panel, because those my words aren't working. Those slip stitches possibly will interfere with the lace panel as it comes around. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm thinking possibly I will just break the yarn once I get round to the lace panel on the other side, do one whole round extra with the current yarn that I have on the needle, and then just add in my second skein when I get back round to before the lace panel. So that probably is completely confusing, but that is my thoughts. That is what I'm going to do. So as you can see, I haven't done a whole ton because, like I said, I've cast on 3 sweaters over the weekend, and this is the one that's stuck. I think the yarn is finally happy in this one, and I'm kind of kicking myself because, like I said, it was one of the ones that I picked right at the beginning, but then I moved over it because I saw that it was mostly milk fibre and I've got 100% wool. So I was like, I don't know, it's probably not going to work. So I moved away from it, but now I'm like, it'll be fine. So anyway, I'll just be working around on this. This is what I'm doing at night, you know, when we're watching telly on the couch, because who wants to see anything at night? So that's why, you know, by the time it gets to night time, the Pebble cardigan is right out the window as an option. But yeah, I've been working on this sweater, and I guess I'll just keep going around and around. It's quite a long sweater. It has a big pleat in the back, and yeah, so I think it'll be taking me a little while to get to, you know, any semblance of an actual sweater, seeing its bottom up as well, so it's just going to look like a big tube. But yeah, that is what I have been working on this week. And finally, probably the only thing really to talk about is tomorrow, which is Thursday the 24th of October, I will be having my very first Christmas self-striping update. So I have 4 colours, I believe, that will be in the shop tomorrow night. They are in very limited quantities at this point in time. I am just dyeing as much as I can every week, which is only working out to be around 8 to 10 skeins, because I have to warp them, then dye them, then dry them, and then put them back into sellable skeins. So that's a lot of work, you know, to fit in even in 1 week. Yeah, they are in limited quantities. I only have 8 skeins will be in the update tomorrow. I will have 2 of each, and most of them will be on merino sock, which is my 75-25 merino nylon blend. 2 of them, which is Sooty Santa, because it was created to be, the colourway was created with the coloured nep tweed yarn in mind, so that the story, I think I've told it before, my imagining was that Santa has come down the chimney, he's gotten all dirty, and he's fallen through and he's hit the Christmas tree, and all of the Christmas lights have wrap themselves around him like in a, some sort of cartoony type way. And yeah, so that's why I really love the coloured tweed on that one, because that, to me kind of is the Christmas lights that are around a very dirty, sooty Santa. So that is, Sooty Santa will only be available on the confetti, but I have been warping my sparkle yarn this week, so that'll be in next week's update. And then I do have my bamboo yarn, so if you are looking to move away from having plastic in your yarn, I will have bamboo self-striping the week after. So I'm gradually going through all of my bases and just focusing on one base per week and getting as much Christmas yarn dyed as I can get. I have created a new colourway for this year. It is called Turkey Time, and it was initially supposed to be mulled wine, which was my inspiration picture, but it just did not look like a mulled wine. I'm going to try again this week, so eventually I'll probably will have 5 different Christmas colourways this year. But yes, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Australian Central Daylight Time, which is where I am. I'm in Adelaide, so will be mostly merino sock Christmas self-striping. So I hope you can make it, and I hope you get what you want. But like I said, if you're after more of, if you'd like the sparkle base or you'd like the bamboo base, those will be coming. But for now, I have the merino sock. So I'm going to stop there. I'm getting very hungry, and these lights are so bright they're beginning to hurt my eyes. So I will catch you all next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please take care of yourselves. Happy knitting, happy crafting, and as always, remember, if you like the episode, click that like button, and if you really love the episode, make sure that you are subscribed so that you will get all of my episodes in your feed. And if you really, really love it, hit that bell icon, because then YouTube will tell you when I've uploaded again. So thank you for that, and as always, questions, comments, put them down in the comments section. I will eventually address them. So happy knitting, and I will see you in the next one.